You kind of get this shift in vision when you accept Christ into your life. You kind of start seeing things differently. You look at the world a bit differently. Now, you don't look at it from a place of judgment. You don't look at the world and people in the world that are sinning on a pedestal. That's very important, because even just in comment sections on the internet, man, I see a lot of, masquerading Christians that will correct people from a place of hatred. And what did I say earlier? It's where your heart is. So when I see these people in comments correcting people or trying to correct me about, like, well, actually in this verse it says this and that, and it's like, your heart's not in the right place, man. Come from a place of love. One of my biggest struggles is, all right, man, what's going on? So I just kind of want to make a video going over the shortfalls that I personally have in my life since I've accepted God into it. Trials, tribulations, downfalls. I know a lot of people say that as a Christian, you're kind of held to this standard of, like, people that don't read the Bible or aren't really familiar with Christ, they will assume that you have to be perfect. You can't ever curse. You can't, oh, Jesus. Stop saying that. See, nobody's ever perfect, man. But now, obviously, you don't want to sin willfully. That's never okay. But being Christian, being a follower of Christ, doesn't mean you have to be perfect 24/7. But where your heart is what really, really matters. That doesn't mean your heart could be in a good place and you can go sin and you can know in your mind that you're sinning. No, you're going to sin. We're flesh and blood. We're men, we're women. We are born to sin. We're never going to be perfect. We're never going to be as perfect as Jesus Christ. Even the most, experienced Christians, even the most righteous men that walk on earth, righteous women that walk on earth, there's always going to be slip-ups, man. Now, the thing is that Christ never slipped up. So getting into it here. So I struggled. I have a few videos on my channel kind of going over, like, what I struggled with in my life. I had addictions to certain drugs. Nothing crazy, but I definitely dabbled in things like Xanax, Adderall. I got addicted for 3 years to something called Kratom. You have a video of that on my channel. I vaped for years. And so I got, I opened up these doors to the devil to enter my spirit and my soul by doing these things. And also I was always chasing after women and looking for them to fill a void that I had, a God-shaped void that I have, that I'll continue to repeat the God-shaped void thing, because that is so true. You have this void in you, right? You have, like, people have been wronged by everybody. You get heartbroken. You have financial stresses. You have any anxiety you could possibly think of, any stress in your life you can think of, anything that would make you wake up and think, oh man. People try to put a band-aid on that from everything in the world, all these drugs, alcohol, women, everything, even things like the gym, trying to look a certain way. They'll do anything besides go to God, right? And I'm not saying that from a place of judgment, because that was me for very many years. And so you finally find God, right? You finally empty your spirit. You get to a place where you're like, man, I can't do this anymore. I need something else. I need to look somewhere else to fill this true fulfillment. And that's when you look to God, empty your spirit, and he comes in, brings you his Holy Spirit, gives you that light, and it changes your life. So, by the way, I ramble a lot. I kind of just riff along. So that's the kind of style of video that I'm bringing to you here. So it's never going to be something where, like, you just accept God and then, oh, all your problems are done now. It's always a uphill battle for the most part. You get over these addictions. You kind of get this shift in vision when you accept Christ into your life. You kind of start seeing things differently. You look at the world a bit differently. Now, you don't look at it from a place of judgment. You don't look at the world and people in the world that are sinning on a pedestal. That's very important, because even just in comment sections on the internet, man, I see a lot of, masquerading Christians that will correct people from a place of hatred. And what did I say earlier? It's where your heart is. So when I see these people in comments correcting people or trying to correct me about, like, well, actually in this verse it says this and that, and it's like, your heart's not in the right place, man. Come from a place of love. One of my biggest struggles is lust, still to this day. And it's a battle that I haven't fully won yet. And I just look back in society. I'm going to go off on these tangents, man. Like, they started teaching sex ed for me personally in 5th grade. I'll never forget it. I still remember the teacher, still remember what the classroom looked like. 5th grade teaching about, like, I don't know if I'm just going to say it, anal sex and stuff like that. Well, sex ed's kind of self-explanatory, but And it's like, man, I didn't realize until I grew up. I was like, why do I need to know that when I'm 10? And then I thought about like when I first was exposed to porn and started watching it regularly, like fifth, sixth. Well, I think I actually was exposed to porn when I was like 7 or 8, to be honest with you. But, and with the internet now today, it's even crazier, because back in those days when I grew up, that was kind of like when the internet was already established for the most part, like 2007, 2008, when I was like 7, 8 years old, whatever the math there is. And so I started watching porn every single day from like starting in like 6th grade, man. And I'm not going to get into too much details about that in this video. I might make a separate video on that, but the spirit of lust entered me from a young age, and I kept it with me, and I never divulged from that, man. I never wasn't looking at porn, and I never didn't go a long period of time without masturbating, besides when I was in boot camp for 3 months when I didn't masturbate, and then I got out and I was like excited the first day I get out to finally masturbate again. Little did I know, like I should have just stopped then, because now this spirit I've had manifesting itself in me for years, it's just the hardest thing to kick now, okay? And that's same thing with drugs, man. It's just another addiction. It's just another portal that you open up. It's another door that you open up for the devil to come in and just sit in there and start growing his roots into you. And then years down the line, when you finally want to pull those roots out and you want to look to God, it's so much harder. And the society we live in, man, is very, very accepting of things like watching porn, things like drinking alcohol, doing drugs, turn the radio on, man, like listen to rap music, listen to 3 rap songs, go on the like top rap charts now, listen to the first song, I guarantee you, you know. And again, like I still listen to rap, dude. That's another thing, like secular music and all this stuff. Like to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie about it. Like I'm still going to be listening to some form of secular music, and I'm not saying that from a place of like I'm gonna do it and I'm not gonna care, I'm gonna do it the rest of my life. There'll probably come a time when I'm like, man, I need to stop doing this, because it's making spiritual static. You kind of grieve the Holy Spirit when you do any of these things. And the society we live in is very secular here in the United States, dude. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, when you really get to know Christ and you read the Bible, you're like, well, it makes sense. Because you look back in the times, like I've been reading John, and I'm not a Bible expert, but I've read a little bit of it in the past few months. And, you know, I've read John, I'm reading Matthew right now in the Gospels. And those people like the Pharisees and the Jews, I mean, that society set up, the way they were treating Jesus, and kind of like some of the Pharisees and some of the Jews were trying to like exile him, and the Pharisees wanted to kill him and stuff like that, and they just hated the idea of it. Like that's still pretty much today in society what we see. Like a lot of people, if you mention Jesus or you mention, you know, anything about God, they'll get like agitated, and you can just tell that they just get mad, man. And the people in a godless society, they don't like the idea of God. Okay, and why would they? Because the idea of God, it goes against everything they want to do and everything they believe in, all the things they take pleasure in. And it's sad, but at the same time, that's how it's been for that's how it's been for thousands of years. So I really went off on a riff there. I don't even remember where the origin of that riff started, but I still struggle with all these sins though, man. Like I'm trying to really live as Christ did. I'm really trying to so I've been reading the Bible. I've been filling a lot of the day with the Bible. Probably not as much as I could. But the first thing I do when I wake up, I don't eat anything. I like to wake up, and yeah, the first thing I do that I probably shouldn't do, like because I just woke up and I'm like, I'm going to look at my phone. I'm going to look at my YouTube statistics. I'm going to look at, you know, watch a video or something on YouTube and wake up. And granted, like these videos that I watch is most of the time is like something about God, right? Something about Jesus. I like to watch certain people on YouTube talking about, you know, Christianity and stuff like that. So I kind of justify it in that way, but at the same time, it's like you want to give Jesus Christ and you want to give God your first fruit of the day before you do anything, ideally. So even then, like I don't know if that's really right. I don't know if that's really the right thing for me to do. I probably should be waking up and wake up on my own terms, spend my time in that silence, or just open the Bible right away and start reading, and then slowly wake up, and then I'll eventually get to it. Sorry, there's a truck going by, it distracted me. I've always had a routine of like first thing in the morning, I like to drink some caffeine, you know, in some fashion. And I've been really trying hard lately to like at least read a chapter or two of the Bible first before I take anything. And I said I stopped vaping. I still chew nicotine gum now, and to be honest, dude, I'm not even really tapering it anymore. Like, I started taking the nicotine gum as a means to taper it down, but I'm not really tapering it anymore. Honestly, I'm chewing like 3 pieces a day, and I don't really know the measurement of how much nicotine's in the gum versus the nicotine in the vaping. Granted, not inhaling those chemicals in my lungs is definitely better than inhaling them into my lungs and vaping, but that's no justification though, man. The way I look at it is these substances, like something like nicotine, is compared to heroin's not that bad, but I still would rather go without it. Now, caffeine is something that I'm probably going to have in my life every single day, and in a perfect world, there would be a time where I fast for a few days or a week from it, but I'm not going to sit here and say that, like, I'm going to stop taking caffeine because, dude, like, I'm a avid gym goer. Like, I take pre-workout. I'm going to keep taking pre-workout. Like, I'm not going to go to the gym and not take pre-workout. And that's me, like, that's me saying right now, like, I'm saying that now, and I mean that now, but, okay, that was just disgusting, and that was horrid, and I can't believe I got that on the live cam. Ugh, I just drooled everywhere. I guess my demons must be getting agitated, but I'm probably not even gonna cut that one out. I just messed up my whole train of thought. Yeah, I mean, the caffeine, man, so the caffeine is something that I'm gonna continue to have in my life, but what I'm more this like following Christ and stuff, and really being a true Christian, it kind of comes in waves, right? Like, in the beginning, right now, I don't think it's really pertinent to hold myself to a standard of somebody who's been reading the Bible for years, who's had God in their life for years. And I'm not using that as an excuse ever, but obviously if I just entered God into my life a month ago, I'm not just going to have all my sinful nature just stripped from me, right? It's a process, and that process really involves just every day opening yourself up to God, spending time with him, spending time in silence with him. And this is a big thing, is that I find myself, when I'm reading the Bible a lot, I'll have my phone next to me, and like, I feel like I know it in my heart, right? Like, checking my phone really quick while I'm reading the Bible, I probably shouldn't be doing that, right? And then there's times where, like, I just want to stop reading the Bible and I want to go on my phone instead. And I look at that as temptation from the devil, man. I really do. It's not something that it's not something I should be doing, because if I'm spending time with God, it's spending time in silence, spending time in his presence. You really shouldn't be distracting yourself in those ways. And so that's something I'm also working on. I'm just trying to really be as perfect of a Christian as I can, and not perfect in the sense of I'm better than everyone else, but perfect in the sense of, like, no, I'm a Christian. Society has taken the Bible and they've perverted every element of the Bible in every single way you can possibly think of. I don't want to be a Christian that's out here being a hypocrite. I'm not a Pharisee. I want to live as true to Christ as I possibly can. So I want to be as perfect in that as I possibly can. I really want to perfect all of these things. Like, I don't want to live sinful nature. I don't want to be sinning. I want God to be proud of me when he looks down on me. And that's really how I feel about it. But just remember, man, for anyone that's watching this, that's like, you know, I'm struggling here, no matter how long you've been reading the Bible or giving yourself to Christ, like, dude, it's your heart that counts, okay? And when I say that, like, don't lie to yourself, man. Don't let the devil sneak in there and deceive you. When you sin, you know it's a sin. Now, it's not like you're permitted by God to sin. It's not okay, but it's going to happen. But that at the same time, though, like, you have to monitor yourself. Just because you're allowed to sin and still be able to go to heaven, you can't just lie, because he knows your heart. So you can't just be like, oh, I'm allowed to sin, do whatever you want. You have to really fight, man. You have to fight against it, and you have to really make an effort, because the more you give in to sin, like I said, the more that spiritual static between you and God accumulates, and the more you grieve him away when you do things like that. And I do that too, man. Like, I give into watching porn. I give into I've been a liar, man. I've stolen before. I've done all kinds of things that I'm not worthy to go into heaven. I'm not worthy at all, dude. But if you can just open up your heart and open up your mind and just really try, dude, because I wish there was a way I could, like, make how I feel inside just come out into the world in a way other than words, because it's been like a couple months that I've really opened myself up to God and just living like Christ, man. Like, apart from the Bible and praying, which are very important, just waking up and like every single thing I do now, I'm like, I have Jesus Christ and I have God in my mind. Like, okay, I need to do this. I shouldn't be doing this because God, that's not what Christ would do. And it's not like this like manic thing that I'm like, well, but it changes the way you think, man. It changes, like, you care more about how you act and what you do and how you present yourself, and as you should. And I don't care saying this, man. I think that society would be as close to perfect as you can get if everybody followed Christianity, and not this Christianity that society's perverted, but like if everybody acted like Christ and really, really true. No one would get there. No one would really fully be as good as Christ was, obviously. But if everyone really tried and really cared about these sins that they're doing and the godless behavior and the heinous acts that they're doing, the sexual immorality that I'm guilty of, by the way, if people stopped that, man, like, the world would change. The society would change drastically. So, and I'll say that proudly. And I'm never going to look at anyone different, because they don't believe what I believe in. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point in society where everybody's following Christianity to a T. But there never was, if you look back in the Gospels. So I don't know, man. I don't want to keep rambling on here, but I just wanted to remind people, man, that being a Christian is not about being perfect, but it is about getting as close to perfect as you can. And you shouldn't ever be looking down on people for, if somebody responds with hate, man, to anything, if anyone wants to get aggressive with you, just, turn the other cheek, man. In terms of the Bible, just don't respond with anger. Just think to yourself, like, how would Jesus act here? That's the best way to do it, in my opinion. And again, I'm very inexperienced Christian, man. I almost feel like I shouldn't be making a video like this, but I'm coming from a place like I can feel that God's in my life, and I can feel that things are changing in His light, and I don't know, man. You just can't give up on it, man. And that's the whole spiritual battle. It's going to be a spiritual battle, and these things you can't see, they're like the wind. When the devil comes into your house, into your soul, most of the time it's by doing something that feels great in the moment, right? You drink alcohol, you get super drunk, like you're opening the door, man. You're opening the door, and you're not gonna feel the devil in you. You're not gonna feel like that. The devil is very deceitful. That's why do you think so many people are living as they do? Not because it's bad, because it's great. And the devil makes it that way on purpose. All these pleasurable things that people do, a lot of them open doors, dude. The drugs, the alcohol, the sexual immorality, the all that stuff. And the devil is so clever in what he does, man, and you can't turn a blind eye to it. But God's even better. God's even stronger. He's the Almighty. He'll always be the Almighty. He'll always be stronger than the devil. So if you can just allow him into your life, man, and you can look at it from an open mind with a pure heart and think, okay, I need to live as Christ did. I really need to make a change in my life, because everything in your life will change for the better. And even if you take God out of it, right? It's like, how does Christ act? He doesn't respond with anger. He's not sexually immoral. He's not lustful over women. He's not doing drugs and all these things that are going to make him feeling guilty. And he lives as a good man. He's a good man that walked this earth. And he was more than a man. He had God in him. He was the Word in physical form. He was God. He was Jesus Christ. He was Son of Man. And he was literally as perfect of a man as you could possibly be, from a moral level too. So if you can do your best to act like a man, I don't see how anything in your life would get worse. And yeah, I think I've rambled on long enough, man. But monitor where your heart's at, man. Monitor where your heart's at. If you're just opening yourself up to God, keep praying, keep reading the Bible. Talk to God, man. Talk to things that you have on your mind. Come to him as honest as you can. Just open yourself up to him. And when you fight temptation, talk to God. Say, God, this is like hard. If you could come into me, if you could help me fight this off, give me the tools required. Maybe read the end of Ephesians, put on the spiritual armor. I think you'll be good, man. I think it's not going to be easy, but nothing's easy, dude. anything that's worth having is hard. Even if you, let's look at it from a worldly perspective, right? If you wanted to make $100,000, it's not going to be easy. Well, that's not the way you want to go to fulfill yourself, but you get what I'm saying. If you want to get your bench press to 300, it's not going to be easy. And living as Christ is not easy, man. Like, being a Christian, a true Christian, is not easy. But, you know, if you're not willing to fight the battle, man, if you're not willing to don the armor, if you're not willing to talk to God and really have humility and open your heart and say, God, look, I'm not worthy. I've sinned. I need forgiveness. And I don't know what else to do. Please come into my heart. I don't know, man. Drop a comment, man. Let me know what you took from that. I hope someone out there got something from this, man. But we'll be seeing you. God bless you, man. Thanks for stopping by.